from the loft of the Caskey Lodge in Kalkaska, Michigan, it's the Rollsreece podcast. And here he is, Rollsreece!
Hey everybody, welcome back to the Rollsreece podcast, to our very special Father's Day edition. Hey, if you don't recognize that harmonica, then you don't know who my guest is today. My dad, Roger Strauss. Hey Dad, harp's sounding good today, man. Thanks for being here, appreciate it.
Pleasure as usual.
That was an awesome intro. That was a cool harmonica intro. Appreciate you doing it.
You gotta breathe.
Oh, I mean, playing harmonica is like breathing to you.
Darn right. You gotta breathe or you die. That's just harmonica playing.
I mean, but is it like riding a bike? I mean, if you don't play, I mean, do you just forget? I mean, how long can you go?
It comes right back to you. You jump right on that bike. It comes right back to you. But you got to have the rhythm. You know what I'm saying? And everything comes out of the blues. You know that.
Yeah, that's for sure. We were just talking about that before the show. I kind of try and hang and lounge. You know, we're here at the Caskey Lodge, so we always kind of do a little bit of a hangout at the bar, and then we work our way up to the loft. We get the cooler going, we're trying to go easy on Denise. We don't want her doing too much, And do you need a drink, Dad? Do you need one right now? Ricky!
I might be able to. Hey, Ricky!
Ricky! He's actually doing it! Hey, thanks, Ricky. Appreciate it, man. Wow,
Thanks
you actually got...
Ricky. I appreciate it. You're a good kid.
Oh, man. All right. Well, hey, maybe we're turning a corner here with Ricky. I don't know.
Darn right.
But
Darn right. I like Ricky.
But it's a beautiful day here. I mean, it's not too hot. We kind of just came out of a heat wave around here in northern Michigan. I mean, it was 90s, upper 80s, 90s for a while. High humidity. That's not something we're used to. I mean, I guess you're probably used to it a little more than I'd be because you've spent time down in Mississippi and Louisiana, and you know a little more about those temps than I do. I mean, I haven't been down there 10 years, probably 15 years to visit you.
Takes you a while to get used to it, that's for sure. When I first went down there, in March, and it wasn't bad at all. So I'm over, boy, this is great. Start getting around May, June,
yeah.
You're over there kind of wondering, I don't know about this. But when you get up in the morning, take a couple extra t-shirts, because once you get out on the job, you may as well just dive in the lake. You know what I mean? You're sweating all day long.
I think my previous guest, Aaron Grencheck, can relate to that. I've seen him bring about 5 different shirts to work a day. It was unreal. I mean, that's the reality. It is that hot. I mean, to me, I'm always amazed. The times I've worked jobs where it was like that I even got through it. I look back on it, I'm like, that was almost torturous, but hey, there's people that do it every day, their whole life, and I guess you just kind of acclimate to that kind of thing. I don't know how they do it. I mean, there's some pretty broken down looking dudes as far as I've seen. The guys are really out there doing excavators, and the guys really digging and working hard out there.
Well, what they actually told me, and I thought, man, I am dying out here, for the first, 2-3 weeks when it started getting warm. But they said, don't worry about it. You get used to it. And, I'm thinking dive in a pool or something like that. Nope, just stay right in there and hang in, and you will get used to it. And you did get used to it.
Yeah.
Because the body cools itself.
You just keep drinking a lot of water.
Yep, they said keep the shirt on. The shirt is actually helping you,
yeah.
Radiate the heat from your body.
Right.
So it wasn't bad at all. And, concentrate on your work, and you're actually going to, get through it a lot better. But it does take a lot out of you.
It does.
You're working 7 days a week, 12 hours a day. That's what you do on those oil rigs.
Right.
And it's just part of the job. But it's surprising how you can adapt to it. And it actually isn't that bad once you get used to it.
Now, working hard, that's something you would do naturally anyway. But hey, this is the Father's Day edition. When you were young, you were working very hard. You always had a good work ethic. But then, at some point, you got together with my mom, Cindy, and you decided, hey, we're going to have some kids here. Then you're really thinking, now I got to work hard. I got a lot on the line. And I know you always took that very seriously. I mean, let's talk about that. You're going back, you're deciding to have kids. Where are you at work-wise? You're right at the kind of the cusp of saying, I want to be a father. I'm going to have the first Father's Day. What's going on in your life at that time?
Well, I'm not going to be hammy or anything like that, but being a father has always been a privilege to me. and I've always enjoyed it. But now that's from a father's perspective.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, of course.
Your mom did a lot of the work. Your mom took care of you.
Absolutely. We did the Mother's Day special here. If you heard that, we had a great time doing that. I love you, Mom. And yeah, we had a great time. I mean, but hey, this is Father's Day. So don't feel bad. I mean, we gave credit where credit is due. Let's talk about you now. Let's talk about your side.
That's just part of the game, because once you are working that many hours, when you do have that time, you come home, you can be tired, but when you see those little eyes looking up at you and they're happy to see good old Dad, boy, you're happy as can be.
Yeah.
And if you remember correctly, a lot of times I'd work night shift. I'd come home, I'd flop onto the couch, and I'd be sitting there, and I'd just be leaning back on the couch, and I'd be thinking, oh, this feels good. And right away, here'd come a smiling, happy kid diving straight at me with his knee right between my legs.
Oh, yeah, right in the crotch.
Boy, that woke you up. Oh, yeah, that did wake you up, but still you were glad to be a father.
So
you didn't know how much longer you were going to be a father if they keep doing that to you.
Right, no, I mean, you're getting a freaking, the kids are giving you a vasectomy, you know, the kids are sending a message there, no more. This house is crowded enough, and we want more toys. No, but I mean, but where were you working at that time?
Toledo Edison.
So you were working at a nuclear power plant down Toledo area.
When we had you, I was at the dirt burner.
Okay.
That's a coal plant.
Okay.
So it was a coal-fired power plant. And then I transferred to a nuclear power plant when we were living out on Lake Erie and everything.
Yep, and we've talked about that in your previous episode there.
So most of the time I was out there at the nuclear power plant, which was great. But, you know, high security, and, you know, it was a great place to work, but it was kind of like a military base. So after a while, you know what, I think I'm going to do something else and have a little bit more freedom. You know what I mean? So we decided we'd move up to northern Michigan, and that was great.
Well, I mean, let's not even go that far at this point. So now you're just deciding, hey, we're having kids here. This is the Father's Day special. Mm-hmm. So you're down there. Okay. So did you live in this house before the kids came along? I mean, I know I'm kind of talking about myself in the third person, but I'm representing my brother Brian and I here in this conversation. You know, we're the kids in this scenario. So were you living in that house?
When you were conceived, and I can remember the night.
We don't need to go into it. Hey, as a matter of fact, thanks for stopping by. This has been the Father's Day broadcast. No, I'm just kidding.
And that was in Toledo, Ohio. So in other words, then when your mom was pregnant, hey, why don't we move out there in the middle of nowhere onto the lake, Erie? Well, I don't know about that. Come on, we can do it. So one thing led to another, and when she was pregnant with you, we were out on Lake Erie, and the big blizzard, I was trapped in Toledo, she was trapped out on the lake, and one thing led to another, and they got stranded. All the neighbors helped out and everything, and then a couple months later, you were born. 1979 on Lake Erie.
Now, was the snow receded by then? I mean, my birthday is in April, right? Early April. I mean, was the snow melted by that time, or were there still huge banks?
It was pretty much melted by that time. Yeah, like I say, that happened. You know,
quite a shift in the weather. You know what I mean? From what is it, 16 feet of snow or something like that, or some kind of insane.
It was easily 6.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, over time it could have been 6, but it was easily. I mean, it was to the point where I couldn't get back out.
Yeah.
To the lake. But anyhow, so we did that. Hip hip hooray, man! This is the greatest thing in the world. Man, they got you.
Okay, I think we're back here. This glitch brought to you by Miller High Life, as always. Thank you, Miller High Life. And like I say, the glitch is part of the show. So anyway, you know, you're out there on Lake Erie, and it's
and I got a little baby boy named Raymond, and I'm proud as punch. And that's back when in the hospital you could actually have beer, champagne. Well, you weren't supposed to. But you know me.
No, it was a different time. I mean,
yeah.
I think there's a lot of guys my age, probably of all ages, are thinking, hey, I wouldn't mind a smoking, drinking room in the freaking hospital.
It was a hospital room. It was a hospital room. Well, you're really not supposed to do that, but you know, we were doing it anyhow, and they didn't really fight it. No more do you ever want to do any of that kind of thing.
Well, you just,
that's life in general.
Right.
You know what I mean? So anyhow, so that was great, and then 13 months later, There's good old Bry.
Yep, yep.
Bry pops into the
I mean,
little-
we were nearly what would be the definition of Irish twins if you're born within the same year, right? I think that's an
Right.
Irish twins.
Right,
I think we're 2 weeks off from
April
that.
3rd and April 16th. Hey. So, I mean, those were the happiest days of my life. Okay, those were great.
No, I mean, I remember overhearing, like Mom's mom, Grandma, who just died, passed away, God bless her soul and rest her soul and everything. She was just great. But she would always be telling me, I don't know how you're handling these kids, these boys. Because, I mean, you would see other people and their kids. Did it seem like we were a little more out of hand than the average kid? Or was this just kind of something we were overhearing where it was like, oh, we're out of control kids? Or, I mean, I know it's kind of hard to judge when it comes to like 3-year-old kids.
For me, I don't know what it is, but I just didn't notice. I thought that was normal because I'd have you in my backpack. You walking around, you'd either be on the front of me or on the back of me.
Yeah.
But I'd go out and I'd visit my buddies or whatever and like that, and the kid was just there slobbering, laughing.
That's what they do at that
loading
age.
his pants, the whole works. Man, I got to get home quick.
So you weren't like a mobile diaper change, like it was home or nothing.
I
Huh?
tried to avoid it, but every now and then I'd get, stuck where I had to do it, and that's where you fell off the nightstand, and luckily no brain damage to you.
I honestly don't know if that was me or not. The story I've heard is a little different, but hey, whatever,
Okay, you heard the thud, but it was a wood floor, not concrete. Okay, so there's the good news.
It probably was me. I'm sure it was. Oh, man. So, I mean, we're living down there in Toledo, and like I say, I've told the stories, of out in the backyard and the rock climbing and stuff. But ultimately, we weren't down there, and so you decided, hey, you and Mom decided, hey, we're gonna move up to northern Michigan. We've got these kids, and I mean, what did you know about the northern Michigan area? I mean, were you thinking this will be better for the kids? I mean, or this is a good business opportunity, or we're kind of looking to like. What was the goal at moving up here? Like the original idea? I mean, was it like a dream come true, or?
The original idea was that it's a great geographic area. I love the crystal clear lakes. Lake Erie was okay, but as you know, it could be, kind of muddy.
And they
at
cleaned
times,
that up, too, didn't they?
And it's a lot better now. And I didn't mind it even when it was a little bit murky.
No one did. We were out there swimming in it every day.
Water skiing, swimming, fishing, the whole works.
Mud between your toes.
Yep. So, but we got a chance to go up there, so we decided to take the chance. And okay, the kids, at that age, you really don't have a lot to say about it.
I was second grade. That was the first grade up here for me, second grade.
Okay.
And I have pretty good memories of moving up here. But I mean, did you guys know? I mean, because we went to Elk Rapids schools, and then there are a lot of great schools in this area. I mean, they're all pretty great. But I really liked going to Elk Rapids. Did you know Elk Rapids schools was a good school? I mean, I'm trying to put everything from like a father's perspective. You know what I mean? What are you thinking about for the kids? Or, I mean, what's going on in that mindset?
Just looking for a place to either start a campground or maybe get a little hotel or something like that up in northern Michigan, and a regular job. A regular job, and then just making a living and having a good time for the whole family up here. Because if you remember correctly, and those memories are good, because I remember, I think all the way till that time, I was your hero.
No, you're still a hero in some ways. Other ways, no. The focus changes.
Boy, Dad, you know everything. Hey, Dad, can we go with you? And then a couple years later, it had to be around 11, 12, maybe 13 years old. Dad, you don't tell any of your jokes when my buddies are around.
Well, I think here's the difference. Back then, we're like, wow, he's our hero. Look what he can do. And now you're our hero because we're like, wow, he actually survived that. Wow. That is unreal.
A good point.
Maybe I could too. I just got to stay focused and I'll be all right,
Well, I appreciate that, Ray. I appreciate that.
You survived some tough times.
Well, he's not here now, but Brian's comment was, Dad, thanks a lot for helping me. As long as I did everything the opposite of what you told me. It works out
there we
good.
go. Wise words. Hey, and we'll give a shout out to him. He's not here. He can't be here. He's out in Lake Tahoe. But a shout out to you, Bri. And hey, man, you're here in spirit, on Father's Day, man, at the Kalkaski Lodge. So, hope you're having a good one out there in Tahoe, But so then you got these kids now we're like elementary school and stuff. And so we move into this house, but we don't live in this house very long. I mean, that whole gas station, I don't know if we talked about that in the last podcast, but that last one, I mean, we had to tear that place out. They made it into a pit. And now we have this amazing house. The one thing I never understood is what ended up being built was a 4-bedroom house? It was a 4-bedroom house, right?
Yes, it was.
So why were Bri and I still sharing a room at that point? I never understood that.
What was my motto for brothers?
Well, it was like be buddies.
There
or
you
something
be
like that.
buddies.
You can't just say that, though. You gotta give people their own room. I remember didn't we start off upstairs? We were upstairs and we had bunk beds.
Yep.
And then we went downstairs, but we had like a king size bed that you guys didn't want. So we're like him and I are just sharing a king size bed in this downstairs bedroom. And you're like, why are they fighting all the time? I don't know.
Yeah, that might have been one of those little deals there that Bri might have been right there about doing the opposite. I'm not sure. Okay.
We had the treehouse. Hey, and by the way, this was an amazing lodge we lived at. This was a vacation destination. You could spread out. You didn't have to if you didn't want to hang out with someone, you could spread out. One person could be on a rowboat halfway across the lake. The other one could be, out in the woods nearby. It didn't matter. There was a lot to do. It was a cool area to grow up in. And at that time, I'm thinking, hey, this is just a really cool thing. And, we had boats, we had all this stuff. Treehouse. So you made it, and it was kind of like a 2-in-1 because it was a treehouse and an ice fishing shanty at the same time. Right. So I mean, it was built on a ramp. The ramp you'd walk up to get into the thing. You used to slide the thing off in the winter and put out on the ice. Because they used to have an ice kind of festival out there. I remember they would set up this big military tent. What was that about? I don't have very good memories of that. Was that like a chili fishing? I don't remember what
I think that was for one weekend. Remember, I got the Dodge Ram pickup.
Okay.
To plow the ice.
This is right in Keewaydin here. There's a sandbar out in Keewaydin in Elk Lake. And they would kind of make this, I know in Minnesota and stuff they do it a lot, but they make like an ice fishing kind of like a village type thing. Out of like tents and shanties and stuff.
That's right. It was a lot of fun, and I would bank it up. The only thing is, I didn't realize that when you bank it up, at night a lot of snowmobilers couldn't see those banks, and sometimes at night you'd see them going airborne.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I've been airborne before, bagging myself. Yeah, I mean, because one of the things I've noticed with snowmobiling is, there'll be these trails that are cutting through the wilderness, but what'll happen is a main road will go through and they dig out the hill. So you're riding the crest of a hill and all of a sudden there's a 12-foot drop. All you can see is the trail going straight across, and all of a sudden you're dropping 10 feet and you're going onto asphalt. That happened to me one time, and every time after that, I was like, anytime I saw a dip in the road, I went, I gotta slow down for this and really make sure this is a dip and not a total drop off, And
it was on one of those old snowmobiles with no suspension.
Oh my God, yeah.
So it was like a piece of scrap metal hitting the road.
Yep, your legs are the suspension, that's right.
Yep.
Now, I remember after we had the lodge there, we didn't go far. We went into these cabins next door. Now, you procured or whatever, you bought this. Was it a condo? I mean, they're still there.
It was a little condo. It was a little house. It wasn't attached to anything else. It was like a little condo. And I figured, boy, I'll tell you what, we've had the split up here, but it's a nice area. We know each other.
Yeah, and we were with Mom for a time there in Elk Rapids, I mean, we went back. I mean, here's the thing, and I will admit it, and I don't know if Bri will say what he's got to say about it, but in my memory, we were kind of terrors because we were always, I always remember we're always talking about how are we going to get away with this? We were always trying to get away with stuff, and it was like us versus you because you're the only one we're trying to trick. really, I mean, we weren't even thinking about like breaking laws or anything. We're just like, how can we stay out later and stuff like that.
And I tried to believe you. I tried to believe you.
You did it in a way that was, I mean, honestly, the way you did it was like you had to present your case. Like you had to like think about what you were going to say and present your case and present evidence. And I mean, it was like kind of like a court, which I really liked. And later on gave me confidence to be my own lawyer in court a couple times. In my late teens, early 20s, I actually represented myself in court and had a couple cases thrown out of court just by thinking the way you made us think about things. You know, I mean, what can they really prove here? You know, which I'm sure it was just after that you're probably like, oh, why did I even get them thinking this way? You know, now I'm in a debate constantly, and it's kind of, you know, I don't know. I mean, I don't know if it was tough. Like if there were times. I mean, what was it like? You know, I mean, we're teenagers. We're trying to talk our way. Could you always tell when we were up to something? Or, I mean, I could never tell if you could tell. You know what I mean? I was just like, and we weren't necessarily like just lying to you constantly. I mean, for the most part, we were pretty straight up with you. It was usually just like a certain day we'd want to do something that we were like, I'm not sure if they will let us. You know what I mean? There were scenarios like that. What can we say to make them let us, you know? And it always sounded like crap to me, you know, but I mean, what were you hearing then?
I'm thinking that there is no way you're doing this. I don't care how you try to portray it. Don't even think about it. And then later, they did it. Okay, so why are you even trying to present your case to me? Because I've been there, done that. I've done the same things when I was young. A lot of parents say this.
And I know the kids nowadays who are actually the ones I knew, where you know they're in their 20s and stuff. Right. I mean, you knew what they're up to. Like, I mean, my friends. Yeah, I don't have kids, but my friends, I remember seeing them with their kids in their teenage years and stuff. And it's funny because, you know, I don't want this message to get out to kids, but there's an amount of stuff that you condone that you can't verbally condone, and it's not like the drinking and the drugging and stuff, but the staying out a little later, and you know, maybe, you know, hang with your friends at the park or whatever it is, and you stay. There's an element there where you can go, okay, I can allow this to happen.
Because it's not relative to safety.
No.
If it's relative to safety,
it's relative to what you're the rule you laid down. Hey, I want them to respect me here. You know, I can't let, you know, I love these kids. I want them to have fun, but they got to respect me because I'm trying to keep them safe. If they don't respect me, they're not going to listen to the stuff that is keeping them safe, right? I'm just realizing that now. I mean, I'm 43. You know, this is stuff I'm kind of like, wow. I mean, that was a very complicated thing to be a parent, you know, and in your case, a single parent with two unruly kids who are always trying to fight the law and, you know, and seeing if the law wins, you know what I mean? Which you were the law, of course. But
I enjoyed and enjoy now being a father, and part of that was always having your friends around. And your friends around, hey, you know, I took them under my wing.
Oh, they loved you.
Including getting on their case.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
I had to get on their case. Wait a minute. What are you doing with that? Now. You know, say there was a marijuana pipe or something, right in the doggone lake it would go. We're not doing any of that around here.
I mean,
you know what I mean?
Here's how I could illustrate that is the best. Is I remember one day we're standing around and you're just hanging out with us, talking BS and whatever. There's a group of the friends there on a summer day, and I'm gonna leave this guy unnamed, and I'm gonna try and get him on the podcast. But he walked up, he came to me first, and he goes, "You think your dad would buy us some beer?" And I go, "No way in hell." I was like, "No way, you're insane."
Why would that enter his mind?
Because you were just kind of like very, very casual. I mean, because there were two sides, you know. It seems like. And I go, "No way." He goes, "I'm going to go ask him." And I go, "You are dumb. Go ahead." I was like, and he did, and he went up to you, and he goes, "Hey, what? Any chance you go by?" And you tore him a new one. I mean, you can put. You're like, "Are you kidding me? What are you thinking?" You know, I mean, you just completely dismantled this guy. And he was like, "Oh my God." He came up to me later. He goes, "God, your dad." I was like, "I told you. I mean, are you crazy? You know what I mean? Yes, he's a nice guy, and he's a relatable dude, and he's you know, in a lot of aspects, you can be friends and just like on common ground. But he is responsible. This is a responsible adult. He's not buying alcohol for kids. He doesn't condone that behavior. I mean, if there was people smoking and stuff, you were slapping cigarettes out of their hand and mouth.
Right.
You were known for slapping cigarettes out of people's mouth. I remember, including me, because when I turned 18, I was like, yeah, guess what? You know, now what are you gonna do? And I remember you slapped about 3 cigarettes out of my mouth because I just kept doing
in a row.
Well, in my mind, it was kind of funny because it was like a comedy routine. I just kept. I mean, I think after the third one, we were both kind of like,
You know,
they were cheaper in that day, so I didn't mind they were getting slapped around. Now, if I was paying for them, no way, you know.
But then, you know, like I say, contamination of the lungs is not a good thing. But the thing of it is, you know, you need to do what your dad tells you when you're at this age. Now, understand this. Parents are not without mistakes.
Oh,
so
no,
if you see a parent make a mistake, you can use that mistake against them. You know, you can use that mistake against them.
Yeah.
So you had to be a little bit careful of that. But for me, since I didn't mind drinking, you know what I mean? Wait a minute, you can't drink, but I can drink because I'm of age and the whole works. And so invariably, it was, you know, from the age of, say, 8 to now or whatever, if I was drinking, you know, at the time, before I had my first beer, there is no way you're doing that.
Well, no, you're following the law. I mean,
wait a minute. No, I'm not talking about breaking the law. I'm talking about, hey, Dad, could I do this or could I do that? Okay, so then after the second beer, yeah, nah. At first, no way. Second, nah, I don't know. After about 3 or 4 beers, next thing I know, yeah, go ahead. And here's $5.
Hey.
So you guys learned that at probably the
I
age
don't
of,
think I had a conscious knowledge of it, but maybe it was going on. I don't know. I mean,
well, I think Bry did. I think Bry was parlaying it, and I think you were too.
Maybe. I mean,
okay.
I mean, the stuff you were doing that I thought was cool was like going out and buying like, you know, 5 or 6 packs of hot dogs and buns and and bags of chips, with the mindset of, hey, Ray comes over with like 4 or 5 friends. You know what I mean?
Right.
This is relatively cheap. We loved it. I mean, hot dogs at Ray's. I mean, people were just. My friends just loved it. I mean, because they're just like, oh, this is great. And then we would go sit by Bass Lake, you know what I mean? And we just, we were into hacky sack and stuff like that at the time. Yeah. So we'd be out there in the yard, and we're just like, this is just and the thing is, you never made it feel like we weren't welcome there. I mean, that's the thing. Everyone always felt super welcome, and I mean, even though you were chewing us for hey, I don't like the smoking, you know, I mean, you would go on these rants that would last, you know, up to a half hour sometimes, but you never made us feel like, hey, you know, get out of here, you know, like, if you're gonna be here, you're gonna, you know,
go by these few simple
the smoking
rules.
Isn't cool,
right?
The drinking isn't cool, and I'm not gonna lie, we were doing it,
right?
But we weren't like, we knew we're not gonna like sit here and be disrespectful, and we weren't flaunting. That's why we were always going all the way off into the woods. We were going 20 miles away. I mean, I guess that was about as respectful as we could be. Like, we won't do it anywhere near them, you know what I mean? We'll just get totally away, you know what I mean? Because I don't really remember drinking there a lot. I mean, a few times, but
I mean, in all fairness to everybody, though, I mean, in general, your friends were real good people.
Super respectful,
they were
funny.
Nice. They didn't do, you know, the smoking and the drinking. That's it. Listen,
no one was drinking in front of you.
Right.
That's for sure. I mean,
what about
smoking,
those vodka bottles under the bed? Hey, I'm telling you right now.
There, every now and then you get that. You know, I mean, those things overflow every now and then. The cooler gets full.
Okay, but they don't. I get rid of them. Okay, and then occasionally, admit it, you were grounded.
Well, your thing, I always kind of thought was funny, and it was one of the most torturous, is you would take it, you like get in the car, the truck or whatever, and we drive somewhere for like an hour, and the entire time was a lecture. I mean, it was, and you were just, and it was kind of like a loop of like a 10-minute loop where you're just like, and you know, and everyone knows your accents and your sayings, uggin and skaggers and stuff. But what I'm uggin telling you is, I mean, this is the condensed version, you know what I mean? But what I'm uggin telling you is, whatever it is, and I'd go, yeah. And you go, but are you listening? And I'd be like, yeah. But are you hearing what you're listening to? And we'd be like, yeah. But are you comprehending what? I mean, that's kind of what these that's a condensed version of kind of what they sounded like to me. And I was like, eventually you're just going,
I didn't know I was doing that.
Whatever, you know, behavior I have to change to get out of this, I will do right now. Because, I can't take this lecture anymore.
Monotony broke you down.
No, I mean, there is a few times, you know what I mean, where, you know, I put you into a bad situation, you know. I mean, the one I feel the worst about, and I gotta apologize right now, and you will definitely remember this, is you were cool enough to take myself and a previous guest, Josh Johnson, up to a Hank Williams Jr. concert, and you actually dropped us off with the understanding that we were going to come out and meet you after the concert and get a ride back. And so you went and did your thing, and so we went to the I don't know why you didn't go to the concert. I don't know why you didn't go to the concert. You could have. And so you came back later to pick us up, and we at the concert we were drinking. You know what I mean? We were drinking and everything else. You know what I mean? I guess really just smoking cigarettes and weed and stuff, you know, back then. And I was just like, Josh, we can't get back in with my dad. He'll know, and he'll give us the lecture. You know, I mean, I was just so terrified of this lecture. And so we ended up burdening other friends. We're just going to get in this other car. And there's no cell phones at this time. I mean, you were totally just sitting there waiting in a concert getting out for kids to come and freaking find you. And we didn't show, and you were just like, what the heck? And you came home later that night. I mean, I don't know, what did you do during that time? I'm sure you're extremely worried, right? Extremely worried, right?
W.
Yep. I mean, and that's what I'm saying. That's why I feel bad about it, because now I think about it, it's like, if I was responsible, you know, this is a Hank Williams Jr. concert, too. This is no, like, I mean, like I say, we didn't show up there with any alcohol or anything, and we walked out of there pretty lit up. I mean, we had nothing when we went in there. So.
Well, you know what? I'm glad we've had this time, because I forgot that. Now that you brought it up again, now I'm real angry.
Uh-oh.
No,
is it lecture time?
I'm just kidding you. No. But I can't give you a lecture on the air, but what I can tell you is very inconsiderate.
Yes.
And I thank you for your apology.
I am extremely sorry about that, and so is John. I mean, that was just about the rooted to me. And when I think back, and I've done stuff. I've stolen the boat. You know what I mean? And it was literally stealing your boat. You know what I mean? Taking it on day trip. We'll go into that. But I mean, even worse than that. I mean, that was something where for it was probably an hour or two. You were extremely worried. You know what I mean? But at some point you decided, they got their wits about them. They were inconsiderate, but they probably got, I mean, it's not like we just disappear on you. You know what I mean? We went somewhere, you know what I mean?
Right.
And we weren't the type of kids who were like murder victims either. There's no way. We're not getting murdered. We're not getting robbed. You know what I mean? We're just not that kind of.
Right. And like I say, a lot of parents can relate to this. I mean, a lot of times anger can be used instead of disappointment. A lot of times when people get frustrated, they get angry. When people get disappointed, they get angry. So you got to understand, a lot of that is just disappointment and frustration because you're expecting something different. But when you got a kid, why?
Yeah.
You know, a kid is going to be a kid.
I mean, to me, that was pretty bad. And, hey, I mean, we got through it. And, I mean, it ended... As soon as you got home, we were there. You know, I mean, you got back, we were there,
Right.
And our friends were pissed. They were more pissed than you. Because, I mean, I'm not kidding. We were sitting on people's laps and stuff. It was not fun for them. It was a nightmare.
The beauty of it is, what damage did it actually do? Nothing.
No, that was a bump in the road.
Right.
And again, there was that time where we stole. Well, now we'll get into this. The boat. You had an awesome boat, this Larson, and I will say at that time I had just taken. In Michigan, you have to take a boater's safety course.
Right.
You can take this course at the age of 14.
Uh-huh.
So I was 14. I had just taken this course. And just as a side note, at that time, this was a very fun course to take as a 14-year-old because these were like the elders of the boat community, like the sheriffs. Like they were the old guys of the sheriff's department, and
the gun club.
And they talked to you. Because I think these guys were probably like from World War II and Korea and stuff. And so they would get very graphic when they were explaining like why you needed to be safe. I mean, I remember like half the class was like, yeah, I remember there was this one guy, he was sitting out in front of a pontoon boat and he decided to have too many drinks. Well, he fell off the front. We were pulling intestines out of that river for days. I'm 14, and these guys, and then there'd be another one where like, this guy's head was busted open and his brains were I mean, this is what was going on in the boating class, and I liked it. I mean, I'm not like into the like demented stuff or whatever. I'm like, no way. This actually, and it did. It put, because I mean, I was like, I can see how that could happen. I mean, why would you sit on the front of a pontoon boat while you fall over? You're going right under the prop. You know what I mean?
I'll say that you've always been very safe in your boating.
But I mean, I don't know. I mean, because I know they don't do that and it's looked down upon. Mm-hmm. But I think what we're underestimating is the ability for a 14-year-old to go, hey, no, I get it, man. Like,
yeah,
I wasn't like a scared young kid listening to this. I was going, oh my God. Like, I felt like someone who is like, about ready to take on some responsibility here. You know what I mean?
Darn right.
I was like, now I'm transitioning. If I go through with this course, hey, I am responsible for this.
That's good.
So anyway, that was the mindset I had when I stole the boat.
Hey, I didn't learn about it till I got it. Wait a minute, why am I getting this ticket for no life preserver?
Yeah, exactly.
Well,
let's tell the story here. We never even got into that.
Okay.
So I take the boat, and I go, and it's the middle of the day. You're at work, but we find the keys to the boat, and this is a nice boat. This is a high-powered inboard-outboard motor Larson. I mean, this thing is a ski boat. We had a great time with it. I saw it rip a ski bob in half one time. I don't know if you remember that, but we had a ski bob, and there was a certain number of people on it. Maybe they paced or whatever the weight limit, and the boat took off so fast it just pulled the front end of the ski bob right off, and they just sunk right in place.
Wow. No, didn't know that.
Oh man, that was funny. Anyway, so we take this boat, and my dad's at work, and we go to Torch Lake, and we're having a great time. I had this boater's license, but what I didn't realize is that the MC numbers were rubbed off on one side, and they weren't showing. We didn't have fire extinguishers. We didn't have throwable life preservers, all this stuff, and we got pulled over just because it was a Tuesday, the middle of the day, and it was a bunch of 14-year-olds on a freaking high-powered speedboat. Along with another boat, because my one friend, he lived on Elk Lake too, and he had a boat. So there was two boats of us, and we got pulled over. So we're getting, and the guy's going, okay, you don't have a throwable life preserver, you don't have a fire extinguisher. Okay, you do have this boater's permit. At least you have that. You have been deemed responsible. And he pulled us over because of the MC numbers. We weren't acting irresponsibly. It was just the MC numbers weren't visible on one side.
Okay.
And so he goes, I'm not going to write this ticket to you because you just got your boater's license. This is your dad. He said, this is your dad's boat, and he should be responsible. He shouldn't even be, this is how they framed it, he shouldn't even be letting you go out on this boat, especially since you got your boater's safety. And he's kind of laying it on you. And no, and I was like, no. And I kept telling, no, it shouldn't be him. kept saying, like I was aggressively standing up for you because I didn't want you involved in any way. I was like, no, he's a good, yeah, he did not mean that at all. You know, whatever I was saying, you know, at the time, but no. So he writes the tickets to you. So, and then how did you find out? What happened there?
Well, I got a.
And we don't have to get into all the details or whatever.
I got a citation in the mail and it said on such and such a date you were going to the Torch River and you didn't have a life jacket. Wait a minute. I know I didn't go through the Torch River, you know, during that time frame. What's going on with this? So I confronted it and I followed up on it and I found out that it was somebody else, and who else is it going to be? Okay, so then I confronted you. Normally, once you're confronted, you come clean. Okay?
Yeah.
So, I mean, you know, so then
I mean, my intention was to pay the ticket without your knowledge.
That's what I'm saying. You thought it would be paid, so you didn't get it paid. That's the only reason it got mailed out, or you would have got away with it. It was a $40 ticket.
Yeah.
But anyhow, so now you got to get reamed.
Oh, yes, and I did.
You got to get reamed. Well, hey, boy, that was good work. You know, I'm not going to say that. So then you had to get reamed and you had to be grounded.
Yes.
And the thing I mean, hey, you got to be grounded. You're grounding yourself. I'm not grounded.
No, I committed the crime. I had to do the time.
I'm not asking you. I'm telling you, just like I did then. But then your friends would try to come up and be lawyers to get you out of grounding prison.
They learned from watching you, you know.
I mean, no.
They knew that your
grounded.
system of justice was plead your case. You know, you might have a shot at it.
Okay, so that's the fatherly.
I did have a team of friend lawyers. I mean, it's funny because we were all kind of like that. Yes, that can be said, but if you frame it in this way, then really, what do you have there? I mean, it was just confusing language that we all would try and create. You weren't really making sense.
Right.
You're just confusing the situation to the point where you're like, I don't know if I'm right or wrong, or what's right or wrong. You know what I mean?
And I'm thinking, why am I having to deal with the Elk Rapids debate team here? The guy's grounded, you know.
There's no way out of it.
For lying.
I think at one point there was even other people's parents I would recruit in.
No, jeez.
No names will be mentioned. But, and then so not long after that, let's just roll right into this. Now I decide, hey, I got through that. Back to party time, you know what I mean? I'm out there, you know, people are camping out in Keewaydin and stuff. But I need a way to get out to this campsite. So hey, my brother's dirt bike happens to be right here. I had to jump on this thing and then I get out to that party spot or whatever, you know, and hang out with my friends that I know are camping a mile away. So I jump on this dirt bike and I go to cross. I come off this trail. I come up to the edge of a road off a trail, and I'm coming up to it quick. And it was not this guy. He was an old man. He was a farmer, classic old farm truck, overalls guy, you know, classic farm guy. He's coming down the road. He sees me approaching the edge of the road at a high rate of speed, like I am not going to stop. What he didn't realize is that I approached everything that way. I skidded to a stop, everything I did. I every time I would come to a stop on a dirt bike, it was like a 25-foot, 50-foot long skid to the edge of the road. I just knew. So I knew I was going to be skidding to the edge of the road. What he thought I was going to shoot across. So what he did is he swerved what he thought was going to go behind me, but he actually hit me broadside, totally broadside. I mean, it wasn't his fault. I mean, it looked like it looked. And so I get hit, you know, I'm hurt a little bit. The bike got hurt, you know, the forks got crushed and stuff. And this old guy gets out and he's on the ground on his hands and knees and he's grabbing his chest. And even though I'm the one who just got hit, I go, "Do you need an ambulance?" This old guy, I mean, he is on his hands and knees with one hand grabbing his chest. And he's like, "No." I mean, he's like, "Are you all right?" I'm like, "Yeah." So an ambulance comes and all this stuff. So now I'm busted for stealing this dirt bike. You know, my knees busted up a little bit. I had to get some stitches. I was fine. And my brother's dirt bike, you know, had to be paid for. And So that's another thing I had to apologize for. But the punishment you came up with for that was kind of interesting. Do you want to go into that? Remember the kind of the community service angle there?
No, go ahead.
Okay, well, so what you ended up making me do was after the knee healed and everything, I was on a community service regiment for, I think it was a month. It might have been 2 months. It was during the summer. 1 week I would go work at the marina. You knew the guys who worked at the marina, and you just said, whatever you want him to do, whatever working, he's working for you for free.
Yep.
The other week, I would go work for a respected community member, construction guy, Joe YIKES.
Uh-huh.
And I think we might have even talked about this before, but he had me shoveling this dirt down in his yard for 2 weeks. And then the marina was a little more fun. They kind of had me weed whipping it, but they'd let me go out in boats with them and stuff and hang out.
Right.
They weren't quite... I didn't have to work as hard there. Anyway, I did that, and through that, I earned the money that it cost. You know, I don't know if it was just the idea of earning the money or if you actually got money.
It was the effort. Nobody cares about the money, but the effort that you needed to put in to pay for the damage, you know what I mean?
Yes.
Because, wait a minute, that's
I
very
worked for
different.
2 weeks,
Right.
8 hours a day. I mean, I don't know if I worked weekends or not. I can't remember. I remember I had to commit to working, though.
Toward the end, everybody had sympathy toward you. Okay.
Well,
yeah,
I was
he's
hardworking.
paid his- Right.
I didn't show up there like, this is total BS. I felt like, hey, you know what? These people
That's
are
correct.
kind of working with my dad. I mean, the people were nice to me.
Uh-huh.
When I went and worked with Joe YIKES, that they made me lunch every day, and it was a great.
Yep.
And I would sit there and talk to him. I mean, this was a very elderly guy, you know, and he was, you know, in his heyday, you know, he was in a wheelchair and stuff, and I think. You know, he was kind of the guy who used to get out into the community a lot,
Yeah.
and now he's kind of here in this house. You know, these are kind of his end days.
Yeah.
And I think he was kind of happy to have some youth in the house to talk to.
Yep.
And, you know,
I
and
respected that from you.
I listened to him, whatever he had to say, and he was nice to me. I mean, people always said he was kind of a tougher guy when he was more vital, but I didn't. Did you know him at all when he was more vital?
Yeah, he was.
What was he
great.
kind of like?
He was like a.
Because he was a father too. We can bring him into this.
Yep. He was the father of Joe YIKES from the movie theater.
Yep.
And he built the house there.
Yeah, he was a builder.
Yep.
He built a lot of houses.
But he would sit there like a queen bee in a hive, and he would orchestrate all the work going on around him. And everybody respected him to the point that the walls would go up, the concrete would get poured, all the contractors knew what to do. And even though he was coming, you know, getting up in years and everything, he knew how to guide everybody to do the right thing, and everything turned out great.
Yeah. I mean, I kind of wish I would remember more of the conversations we had and stuff. But I remember always kind of being like, I mean, to me, it did feel like I was on like a punishment. Like I was like, I shouldn't look at them. You know, I didn't feel like. No, they made me feel welcome. But initially, when I was there, I was like, I should just keep my head down. You know, because I've always been kind of a wisecracker. You know, I mean, there's a million things I could have been saying, and you know, and I was just like, no, in this scenario, I just got to sit here and. Yeah, didn't you build that house over there? Yeah, we built that, you know. And then his daughter was there and stuff, and she was very nice
He
to
had
me.
the caboose in his yard.
Maybe. I can't remember exactly. I remember the inside of the house, and it was just, you know, there's houses of a certain era, and it was of the, I'm guessing, like, late 50s, like...
Way before air conditioning.
It was,
he had air conditioning, but it's like the houses you see without any air conditioning.
It was a brick house.
In the 50s, you know?
Yeah, I mean... So, you know, I mean, that was something you did that I did get a lot out of. You know, I mean, first of all, it taught me how to work a 40-hour week, you know what I mean? And get up and just you know, hey, get out there and work. I'm 14. I should have already been into something. A lot of my friends were working cherries at that time, you know?
Right. Yep.
So, if anything, it taught me how to get out there and work. But, you know, in the teen years, you know, whatever, there's rebellion going on. But now we start getting into, hey, now this guy's, he's 20, you know what I mean? Now I'm into my 20s, but I'm still living we were over on Bass Lake there, and I'm still living there, and I'll never forget, one day you call up and you go, hey, Ray, good news. And I knew the house was for sale and stuff. He said something like, hey, Ray, good news. Just sold the house. You got 2 weeks to move out. Like it was all kind of one set. You were in Chicago at this time. You were living in Chicago, and I was just kind of freeloading. You know, I think I was supposed to be.
You agreed to give me $150 a month, and I said, okay, that sounds good to me for a house on Lake. I said, no, $150 a month.
Oh, it's nothing.
Okay, nothing. Ray, when are you going to say? You know, I didn't care about the $150 a month, but you need to learn responsibility. So then what happened? I was telling Teresa about this today. I said, after a while, he was into me for $3,000 or whatever. So instead of collecting the $3,000 from him, I gave Brian my Jeep Wrangler that I had in Chicago. I hardly ever drove it because I was, in Chicago and everything. So, because everything's static equilibrium between my kids. You know that. You know that.
Absolutely.
Okay?
Absolutely.
So, instead of collecting the $3,000 from you, I gave Brian a $3,000 thing. And let you off the hook on that. But the thing of it is...
Which still didn't get you your money back. I mean, if anything, you lost another $3,000. That's all that happened.
It didn't matter because I so much enjoyed the time grounding you guys, and that was grounding me because I was having a great time hanging out with you guys and stuff like on the weekends, and you guys, we do stuff and stuff like that. So grounding you, and any parent will say this, is like grounding yourself. You know what I mean? So it's not easy on a parent. You probably know that now, although you're not a parent. But I mean, you've been around kids.
Well, that's apparent.
You've been around. That's apparent that you're not a
it's
parent.
Very apparent that I'm not a parent. But but oh man, so
that was a good bad joke.
So exactly. But I mean, we got through that. But I mean, eventually I did move out. And, for 12 years, I lived over there in Keewatin at that other house, and you had been there and visited and stuff, and I was in that house. But, I mean, I still had a roommate situation. It was kind of a weird thing. I had a roommate for about 4 months of the year. Mm-hmm. That was it, good buddy Veli. I'd like to get him on the show. Lived with him, and he was living in Switzerland because he had his 2 girls in Switzerland. And
Ellie's a good guy.
Amy and Selena, and I had the opportunity to go visit over there and had a great time. And one of the podcasts, we'll get Veli on here and we'll talk all about that. We'll have all that going on because he's a dad too. I mean, he was a dad in Switzerland, so he was a Swiss dad, which is I think that's kind of a little. I mean, I don't know how different it is. I mean, when I was over there, it seemed like to me what was different is that they were in an urban area. The
bottom line is he's a good dad.
Yeah, he is. Yeah,
even
absolutely.
in those circumstances. Wow.
Yeah. So I mean, but it's like Dad International. I mean that we could take the podcast to another level there. So.
Right.
But I mean, and then it was cool, kind of getting into my upper 20s and into my 30s, and then we were kind of starting to connect a little more. You know what I mean? When I went down to the Gulf Coast and visited you. I think I was 30. And that was a great time. I mean, we actually, you kind of get to the age where you're like, hey, I don't have to act like a freaking idiot all the time. You know what I mean? I can chill out. I mean, if anything else, I think you were kind of encouraging me to get a little crazy.
You fit right in.
Yeah. Well,
So that just told me, wait a minute. He fit in Elk Rapids. He fit in Chicago. You fit in Chicago. You just decided you didn't like Chicago.
I mean, I fit in so well in Chicago. There was that night at the Kingston Mine where a guy came up and asked me if I was selling weed. And I'm just standing there. I'm just like, hey, I must look pretty cool. You know what I mean? Like, I was like, I wasn't selling weed, but this guy thought I was? Wow. Like, and I was like probably 21 or something then.
Yeah, but I mean, that isn't one of the shining moments. The shining moment
I look at
you were
as
fitting
that.
in with the music and getting along with all the people.
Oh, yeah. Well, it's about listening, I think, we met Leroy Brown, which to me, that's like one of the coolest. I mean, for someone to write a song about you, I don't know.
And that he is nice.
And he was a nice guy. I mean, But hey, maybe he'd also grown and learned. I mean, we have no idea what he was like in the Jim Croce days or whatever, when he was big, badly. I mean, he might have been a hair trigger, you know what I mean?
South side of Chicago, you got to be tough.
Right, exactly. I mean, the song says it all, right?
Mm-hmm.
So,
but remember, at the end of the song, he got his butt kicked.
Oh, okay, maybe
he gave him a puzzle piece, like a puzzle, like 100 pieces gone or whatever it was,
Well, look at this, folks. All these years, and I'm still learning from my dad. Wow, I probably knew that, but I forgot at some point. But hey, we're coming up here on another hour, if you can believe that. I mean, but I'm having a great time. What do you say we bust out a little more harmonica? Is there anything you've been working with? Because my entire life, and that's the thing, we joked about it on the last podcast. You're like, I've been playing pretty good harmonica for last 6-7 years, and I'm thinking, I've been hearing you play for 30 years or more. What are you making me listen to for the freaking 25 years or whatever? But the truth is, you've always been pretty good at harmonica. I mean, I don't know why you were selling yourself short saying, for 6 to 7 years I've been playing good blues. You've been playing good blues longer than that. I mean, I'm just going to let you know you have, all right? As a son to a father, you've been doing better than you think you've been doing. So, because I got a lot of comments about that. People are like, hasn't your dad been playing more than 6-7 years? We've known him for 20, friends of mine, and they've always heard you play.
Well, I do it for fun, and I enjoy doing it. And I went to Chicago, and I love doing it and everything, and I made a little bit of money doing it. But the thing of it is, you can make more money. I think I've said this before, working a regular job than most blues players make. But if you have that feel and you like any kind of music, it could be gospel music. We had gospel music when I was living in the high rise. You've been there.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
By the House of Blues.
Yeah.
And on the House of Blues every
Marina
Sunday,
City Tower.
all the women would come in from the area churches, south side of Chicago, all over, and they would play that gospel music. Very inspiring. Basically, it's lowland Mississippi
coming
blues.
from you, I know that's the gospel truth.
Yeah, and from the women.
Hey, stick with us in the Rollsreece.
The women will tell you that too. And that was a lot of fun, but the thing of it is, there's all different degrees of understanding of music. That. So,
yeah.
But blues, come on. I understood this a long time ago because I used to love rock and roll. And I still
do.
I still love rock and roll, but I understand it came from low down Mississippi blues.
Yeah.
So. You go through good times. Sometimes you go through bad. But there ain't nothing like being a dad. Yeah. So we're downtown Casky, looking up at the sky. Well, I'm sitting across from a real good guy, and he's got a brother. We just call him Bry. Yeah.
Woo! All right. Hey, the Casky Lodge, as usual, just lit up. Everyone's loving it. I mean, we're having a great time here on a Sunday afternoon. It's Father's Day, and I'd like to say hello to all the fathers out there. I mean, I'm kind of like the only guy I know that's really not a father. I mean, some younger dudes and stuff, but hey, that's all right because it is what it is. I mean, any kids under my supervision would have had a pretty tough go of it. I'm not kidding you. I mean, it would have been easy, kids. I mean, I'm not saying you would have had a bad life, but it would have been easy. That's for sure. I mean, so, anyway. And anyway, the kids I know that I've seen grow and and are moving on to bigger and better things in life. hey, you've accepted me as a family member, and I'm proud of each and every one of you. So as a father, kind of like, I wouldn't say a figure, but a guy who feels about you kind of like a father would, you know what I mean? Hey, I'm proud of every one of you, and just keep doing what you do. And hey, I'm looking forward to what you can teach me down the line. Hey, I don't know everything, I mean, I'm just on my own path, I'm doing my thing. So, hey, it's been another exciting episode of the Rollsreece podcast. I'd like to thank my dad, Roger Strauss. I'll give a special shout out to his girlfriend, Teresa Hicks. Teresa, how you doing? Thanks for coming on up. Appreciate you stopping in. We're gonna bring Teresa to the mic here. This is my dad's girlfriend, Teresa. She's great, and
From New Orleans.
Coming straight out of New Orleans, and we went out and had a nice lunch for Father's Day and everything today.
That was the best
I mean, do you have any comments? What do you think about fathers from a mother's point of view? What do you think about good dads and what they're doing out there? I mean, are they?
They're very good leaders. They help the kids to take direction.
So your thing is a dad has to be a good leader.
That's right.
And they do. They lead the pack, but a mother can do that too, right?
But a mother is more nurturing, more affectionate.
Nurturing, okay.
Nurturing, yeah.
Yeah.
It's more affectionate, and they set the discipline for the kids, set them on the right track too. But that is the power.
Yes, and we don't need to point out any accents or whatever, but Teresa's from Trinidad here. So you may notice a little bit of an accent, but I mean, you've been living in America longer than Trinidad. I mean,
That's true.
You've lived here longer than
I've been
Trinidad.
living here over 40 years.
So, I mean, for me, I have a weird thing, and I think some people do, where I'm a chameleon. If I moved to Trinidad, I would absorb the Trinidad accent. I would, because I remember I went to Switzerland for like 3 weeks, and I started saying certain words like they say. I mean, because you're not saying it like Trinidad, you're saying it like a Trinidad person would say it in English. You're not really getting it right. You I mean, when I got called, hey Ray, we hear you trying, but nah, it's not happening, man.
I'm one way all the time.
Yeah, no, exactly. I mean,
one way all the time.
And you've done a lot in finance, and you've had a great career, and you got a beautiful home in Louisiana. I've seen some pictures and stuff, and a beautiful kids and grandkids. I mean, we could do a whole podcast on you alone. But I appreciate you coming in and talking about fathers and the importance of having a strong leader for these kids, and strong fathers and mothers. It makes a difference, and it's responsibility. I mean, when you have a kid. I think that was my main deterrent. I don't like taking on a lot of responsibility. It's like, what are these kids gonna create for me here? Now I'm feeding them. Now I'm freaking whatever. I'm getting them insurance. Now I'm looking at 12-page insurance forms for what? I don't know what's going on here.
But having a kid is really nice.
Yes,
really nice.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So anyway, I've had a great time with you guys here on the Father's Day episode, and we're probably going to be doing more here. I mean, my dad and mom, and I'm thinking Teresa will be reoccurring guests here on the Rollsreece podcast. I got to do one every week.
I'm happy to be here.
Well, hey, I'm happy to have you. Like I said, I got to do one every week. I'm running out of ideas, and I'm not saying that I'm hitting the bottom of the barrel. What I'm saying is I'm surprised at the ideas that I'm coming across here. Like, hey, that's actually a really good idea. I should have Teresa on the show. I should have my dad. I guess that's kind of the cool thing about doing this and taking on the responsibility of saying, yes, I'm doing this every week, is that this is some responsibility I'm taking on, because to the people that listen to this and listen to it regular, thank you very much. I mean, I'm talking directly to you, from my mouth to your ears. Thank you very much. And it's kind of a way for everyone to hang out, because I remember back in the old days, it was really easy. When you're young, everyone hung out at once. It was all your friends, you hung out at once, we're all meeting here, and then once you get older and you separate a little bit, you know, either you're constantly every day making an effort to hang out with individual friends, or, you know, I guess there's just this, you know, where I can just kind of speak to everyone that I've known in my life, and you know, have appreciate, and you know who you are, you know, I mean, everyone I've known and met, and maybe so there's somebody out there going, hey, I don't know you, but I just like your podcast. Hey, we're all hanging out. That's what this is about. Just a kind of an audio hangout, and I appreciate everyone for listening. So this is another episode of the Rollsreece podcast, this very special Father's Day edition. Thank you, Teresa Hicks. Thank you, Roger Strauss, my dad, for being here. I love you both, and I will talk to everybody next week.